There's a lot of vocabulary associated with this chapter, and it's really important that we understand it. So a monomial, think mono meaning one. A monomial is one term. It's a number, a variable, or a product of numbers and variables. So it could be like the number 7, or it could be a variable like x, or a product of a number or variable like 2x, containing whole number exponents as well. Okay, and so like 3x squared. All of that is a monomial. The degree of a monomial is the sum of the exponents of the variables. So if we have a constant like the number 7, the degree is 0 because it doesn't have a variable. If it had a variable, it'd be x to the 0. It doesn't have one. If you have a variable like x to the first power, we don't see it, but the degree is 1. If you have a variable, let's do the 2x we had, well, that has an exponent of 1, so that's my degree of 1. If you have 3x squared, the exponent's 2, that's a degree of 2. If I have something like 2xy to the third z, though, this has a degree of 5. And the reason it has a degree of 5 is because the x is an exponent of 1, the z is an exponent of 1, and it says that the degree of a monomial is the sum of the exponents of the variables. So you're looking at the whole term, and you're adding the exponents, and so we get 5. Now the word poly means many, so a polynomial contains many of these terms, separated with the sum or difference. That means an addition or subtraction sign. So if I have like 7 plus x plus 2x plus 3x squared, it'd probably be written in reverse order, which we'll talk about at some point here. But the difference is that this contains 4 terms, all separated by the plus or minus signs, and so I know it's a polynomial with 4 terms. Think of this as a train, these as train cars, and these are like the connectors. So I can even change that plus sign to a minus sign if I want to. Any of these. Oops, not erasing, but if I want to make this a minus sign instead, I can. They're little connectors, and so the cars themselves would be like the terms, and the polynomial would be the whole train. The degree of a polynomial is the degree of the term with the greatest degree. So if I look at all these degrees, the 7 had a degree of 0, the x had a degree of 1, the 2x had a degree of 1, and the 3x squared has a degree of 2. So the greatest degree from here is 2. So you just keep the highest degree. And then lastly, the standard form of a polynomial contains one variable written with the terms in order from greatest degree to least degree. So if I rewrite that polynomial from above, so it starts at 7 plus x minus 2x plus 3x squared. Now I need to write it with the highest degree first. Well, highest degree would be 3x squared, and then negative 2x and x have the same degree. They're both degree of 1. 3x squared is degree of 2, plus the 7 was a degree of 0. And if you notice, these are actually like terms, which we'll get into more this chapter as well. But those can be combined. A negative 2 and a 1 becomes negative 1x, or negative x plus 7. So the best way that you can write this in standard form would be 3x squared minus x plus 7. The leading coefficient. The leading coefficient, once you've written it in standard form so that the highest degree is first, the leading coefficient is just that number right in front of the train of the polynomial. That leading coefficient in this case is 3. Now we can classify and name these polynomials. So if something is a degree of, the last one we did was a degree of 2, I believe. Let me just double check. Yeah, the 3x squared was the largest, and so the polynomial was a degree of 2, and so I know that's a quadratic. Quadratic, right? And that's a quadratic polynomial because if I look down below, it had 4 or more terms. So if I give you, let's see, 4x to the third plus 2x squared. Okay, let's take a look at the degree. First of all, it's in standard form. That's the highest degree is first. The highest degree we have is 3. This term is a degree of 3. This term is a degree of 2. This is a polynomial because it has a plus sign in here. It's 2 or more. But specifically, this one is 2 terms. So I'm looking at the number of terms. 2 terms is a binomial. And also, with a degree of 3, it's a cubic binomial. Okay, let's get to some examples now. So how many terms are in a trinomial? Trinomial, tri means 3. A monomial, mono means 1. Why does 5xy to the third have a degree of 4? Because the x is to the first power and the y is to the third, and for a monomial you take the sum of the exponents, so we get a degree of 4 from the 1 plus 3 on the exponents. Classify 4n to the third plus 6 by its degree and by the number of terms. Well, the number of terms is 2, so it's a binomial. And the degree, since it's a polynomial, it's not a monomial, we're looking at each degree. Well, this has a degree of 3 and this one has a degree of 0. So it's going to be a degree of 3, and a degree of 3 is cubic. So it's a cubic binomial. Okay, use the polynomial 8g plus 1 minus 4g squared to complete the following. First, we have to put it in standard form. To put it in standard form, we need to get that highest degree, which is right here. I didn't mean to make that line. Highest degree is right here, so it's negative 4g to the second. That's a degree of 2. 8g was positive, so I'm going to write plus 8g, and 1 was positive. So I have a degree of 2, a degree of 1, and a degree of 0. What is the leading coefficient? Negative 4. What is the degree of the polynomial? 2, because we keep the highest. Classify by the number of terms. Well, there's 1, 2, 3 terms, so this is a trinomial. And classify the polynomial by the degree. Degree of 2 is quadratic. So memorizing that table from the notes will help. Example 1, find the degree of each monomial. So to find the degree of each monomial, we take the sum of the exponents. So we have 4 plus 3, this is 7. We have 1 and 1, so that's 2. A constant is a number by itself. It has no degree. And 4x to the 0, well, x to the 0 has a degree of 0. 4x to the 0 is the same thing. Anything to the 0 power is 1, remember. So this is just saying 4 times 1, which is 4. So it's a constant. That's why it has a degree of 0. Find the degree of each polynomial. Okay, to find the degree of the polynomial, we look at the degree of each one. This one's 7, this is 3, we keep the highest, 7. Here we have a degree of w to the second and z to the first makes 3, and this one is 4, and a constant is 0, so the degree here is 4. Okay, we need to write in standard form, so we can write all our degrees up above if it helps you first. And so I'm putting the highest degree first, so x to the 5th, and then 9x to the 3rd next, and then negative 4x squared, and that's a positive 16. Oh, and the leading coefficient. So what would be right in the front of x to the 5th? Well, there's an invisible 1 there, so the leading coefficient is 1. Okay, same thing. Let's write my degrees. I've got 5, 8, and 1. So I'm going to write the degree of 8 first, plus 18y to the 5th, because that was positive, plus 14y. And my leading coefficient is negative 3. Classify each polynomial by the degree and terms. So the degree, we're going to look at each monomial. My options here are 3 or 1. We keep the highest, so it has a degree of 3. We call that cubic. And the number of terms is 2. We call that binomial. So this is a cubic binomial. Okay, and then we have here a degree of 6, 3, 1, and 0. So the highest degree is 6. 6 would be a 6th degree polynomial, and the terms, there are 4, so 4 more is a polynomial. So I know that this is, it's 4 terms, so we call it a polynomial. So this is a 6th degree polynomial. Okay, negative 2x. This is going to be a degree of 1. When you have a degree of 1, we call that linear. Think about like y equals mx plus b. There's no exponents, right? It's a degree of, and that's a linear equation. That's a degree of 1. And the number of terms, there was only 1, and so we call that monomial. So this is a linear monomial. A tourist accidentally drops her lip balm off the Golden Gate Bridge. The bridge is 220 feet from the water of the bay. The height of the lip balm is given by the polynomial negative 16t squared plus 220, where t is the time in seconds, so this is time in seconds. How far above the water will the lip balm be after 3 seconds? Well, I'm just inputting that time of 3, so it's negative 16 times 3 squared plus 220. We need to be careful of PEMDAS here. So it's parentheses first, there's nothing to do in parentheses, but it's the exponent that's happening next. So 3 squared, which is 9. So this is negative 16 times 9 plus 220. Then I have to do multiplication or division next. Negative 16 times 9 is 90 and 54, 144 plus 220. And our final answer will be positive 76.